Myself Surekha Yashodharan, lecturer in Computer Science, IHRD College of Applied Science, Karthikapalli. Here I am going to deliver lecture on computer fundamentals and organization. This presentation includes some topics of Module 1. So first we are going to discuss what is a computer. A computer is an electronic device which accepts input from user, stores and processes it and gives output to the user. It accepts raw data as input and processes it to give a meaningful information as output. So whenever a user is giving input to the computer, it may be a raw fact such as a number, name, place, etc. So this raw fact is processed by the computer and a meaningful information is given as output to the user. Next, functionalities of a computer. So the major functionalities of a computer includes receiving data as input from user, storing the data received from the user in its memory unit, and use this data or instruction whenever they are required. The third function is processing the data and converting it into useful information. And finally, generating output to the user. So these four functionalities are the main functionalities of a computer system: receiving data as input, storing it, processing it, and generating meaningful output to the user. So here some characteristics of a computer system are given. First one is speed. As we all know, a computer works with much higher speed and accuracy compared to human beings because it can process millions of instructions within milliseconds or nanoseconds. And computer speed is measured in megahertz, gigahertz, like that. Next characteristics is accuracy. Computers perform calculations with 100% accuracy, though there may be errors due to some data inconsistency or inaccuracy, but almost computers give 100% accurate result. Next is diligence. A computer can perform millions of tasks or calculations with the same consistency and accuracy. It doesn't feel any fatigue or lack of concentration. That means, like human beings, a computer doesn't get tired. It can do millions of work with same consistency and accuracy. Versatility refers to the capability of a computer to perform different kinds of works with same accuracy and efficiency. It means that computer can do multiple works at the same time. Next, reliability. A computer is reliable as it gives consistent result for similar set of data. That is, if we give same set of input any number of times, we will get the same result. So it means that we can rely on computer. Next, automation. Computer performs all the tasks automatically. That is, it performs tasks without manual intervention. Next, memory. A computer has built-in memory called primary memory where it stores data, and it is also having secondary storage devices such as CDs or pen drives in which also it can store data. Next, von Neumann model. Von Neumann proposed his architecture design for computer in 1945, and it was later known as von Neumann architecture. According to von Neumann architecture, there are main four units for computer: central processing unit, memory unit, and input-output units. Central processing unit again contains some subunits control units, arithmetic and logical unit, then registers. This is von Neumann architecture. Input device is giving input to the computer. Then after processing the input given by the input device, it is giving output to the user with the help of output device. And central processing unit consists of control unit, arithmetic logic unit and registers, and it is having interaction with memory unit also. So there are four components of von Neumann model: central processing unit, memory unit, input unit, output. Central processing unit. This part of the computer system is known as the brain of the computer system because it performs the bulk of data processing operations, and it is also referred to as CPU. The major components of CPU are arithmetic and logic unit, control unit, and a variety of registers. Arithmetic and logic unit is responsible for all arithmetic and logical operations performed in the computer system, and control unit is responsible for controlling the whole operations happening there, and variety of registers are there in CPU for temporary storage. So first of all, arithmetic and logic unit. In short form, you can say it ALU, which is responsible for micro operations for executing the instructions. Simply we can say that ALU allows arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and logic operations and or not. So ALU is responsible for whole arithmetic and logical operations performed by the computer. Next, control unit. This unit is responsible for controlling the operations of components like ALU, memory, and input-output devices. We can say that a computer system comprises of all these units. Input unit is there, output unit is there, ALU is there, memory is there. So the control unit is responsible for controlling the whole operations happening in these units. Next, registers. Registers are high-speed temporary storage areas in the CPU. The data processed by the CPU are fetched from the registers. In the next slide, we will discuss some important registers in the CPU, when the instruction is being executed, where it is stored, and the next instructions to be executed, where it should be stored, and when the calculations are performed, where the result is being stored. All of these operations are stored in some of the registers. So in the next slide, we will discuss about some important registers. Some of the registers are listed below. Accumulator. Accumulator is a register which stores the results of calculation made by ALU. Next, program counter is a register which keeps track of the memory location of the next instructions to be dealt with. That means suppose we are executing one instruction, and then this program counter register will be keeping the address of the next instruction which is to be executed. Next, memory address register. Memory address register stores the memory locations of instructions that need to be fetched from memory or stored into memory. Next, memory data register. It stores instructions fetched from memory or any data that is to be transferred to and stored in memory. So, memory address registers deals with the address of instructions, and memory data register deals with the data. or instruction. Current instruction register, or it is also known as instruction register, which stores the most recently fetched instructions while it is waiting to be coded and executed. So it will be containing the details of most recently fetched instructions. Next register is instruction buffer register. This register contains the instruction that is not to be executed immediately, but it should be taken later. So the instruction that is not to be executed immediately is placed in the instruction buffer register. Next, memory unit. It is also the most important unit of a computer system because it is responsible for storage. A memory unit is a collection of storage cells together with associated circuits needed for storage of information. The memory stores binary information in groups of bits called words. As all of us know, computer understands binary language. That means language of bits, zeros or ones, and such group of bits are known as words. There are two major types of memories, RAM and ROM. RAM is random access memory or read-write memory. ROM is read-only memory. Next, input unit, and this unit is responsible for giving input to the computer, and input to the computer is given using input devices like keyboard, mouse, etc. And finally, the output unit. This unit is used to provide output to the user from the computer system. And for providing output, we are using some output devices like monitor or printer. Next, we are going to discuss about some component inside a computer system. So first one is SMPS, switched mode power supply. Switched mode power supply is an electronic power supply that uses a switching regulator to convert electrical power efficiently. So this SMPS is responsible for giving power supply to the computer. It is power supply unit generally used in computers to convert the voltage into the computer acceptable range. So it is managing the voltage of electrical power which should be given to the computer. And this device has the power handling electronic components that converts electrical power efficiently. So this is the figure of SMPS. The motherboard serves as a single platform to connect all of the parts of a computer together. So what all things we are using in computer like hard drives, CPU, memory, optical drives, video card, sound card, graphics card and any other sports or expansion cards are connected to computer through this motherboard. It can be connected directly or via cables. So motherboard is considered as the backbone of a computer, and some of the popular manufacturers of the motherboard are Intel, Asus, AOpen, ABIT, BioStar. This figure illustrates motherboard. This motherboard contains various slots and interfaces for connecting various external devices to the computer. Next, we are going to study BIOS. BIOS means Basic Input Output System. Actually, it is a boot firmware program that a computer uses to successfully start operating. That means the BIOS is located on a chip inside of the computer and is designed in a way that protects it from disk failure. This program is responsible for the working of the computer. When you turn on a PC, the BIOS first conducts a basic hardware check called a power on self test to determine whether all of the attachments are present and working. When we are switching on a PC, So this program, this BIOS is responsible for checking the basic hardware condition, and that test is known as power on self test. That test determines whether all of the attachments are present and everything is working properly for the operation of that particular PC. Then it loads the operating system into your computer's random access memory, or we can call it RAM. The BIOS contains a program known as Bootstrap Loader, whose responsibility is to search and start the operating system boot program. As I said, it is boot firmware program which is necessary for the computer to start its operation. So BIOS firstly check basic hardware conditions, whether it is correct or not, and after checking the hardware, it will be loading the operating system. And for loading the operating system, BIOS contains a program known as Bootstrap Loader, which is responsible for searching and starting the operating system boot program. And the next functionality of BIOS is to manage data flow between the computer's operating system and attached devices such as the hard disk, video card, keyboard, mouse and printer. As we all know, computer system is attached to many peripheral devices, and this BIOS is responsible for managing the data flow between the computer's operating system and these attached devices. BIOS also stores the date, time and system configuration information in a battery-powered non-volatile memory chip called CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor, after its manufacturing process. So overall, the start of working of a computer is possible only with the help of BIOS, which is a boot firmware program. Our next topic is CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor. It is an integrated circuit designed on a printed circuit board, which is widely used type of semiconductor used in transistors. It is a battery-powered memory chip that simply stores the startup information, and BIOS uses this information to turn on your computer. That is during the boot up process. As we said earlier, BIOS is a program responsible for the startup of the computer, and it gets information from this CMOS integrated circuit, which simply stores the startup information. And CMOS batteries are made up of lithium material that can last up to 10 years. This is the figure of CMOS. Next topic is ports and interfaces. A port is a physical docking point using which an external device can be connected to the computer. Also, it acts as a physical docking point through which we can connect external device like mouse, keyboard or any other device to the computer. So port has the following characteristics. External devices are connected to a computer using cables and ports. Ports are slots on the motherboard into which a cable of external device is plugged in. As I said earlier, motherboard acts as a backbone which contains many ports, slots, interfaces for connecting some external devices. So such type of physical docking point, or we can see that some type of circular holes or some type of rectangular holes can be seen at our computer for attaching different external devices. So examples of external devices attached via ports are the mouse, keyboard, monitor, microphone, speakers. Some important ports are as follows. Serial port. Actually, serial port is used for external modems and older computer mouse. There are two versions of serial port, 9-pin or 25 pin model. That means that ports will be containing that much of pin inside in it. That means 9 pin model is there or 25 pin model is there, and the data travel rate is 115 kilobits per second for the serial ports, and it was basically used for connecting external modems and older computer mouse. Next one is parallel port. These are mainly used for connecting scanners and printers, and these are also called printer port, because in older computers printer was always connected to this parallel port, and its model is of 25 pin, and that port and that particular docking point will be consisting of 25 pins inside it. That's why it is known as 25 pin model. Next, PS by 2 port. It was used in old computer for connecting keyboard and mouse. It was also called mouse port, and most of the old computers provide two PS by 2 port each for the mouse and keyboard. If we go through this old desktop system, we can see for attaching keyboard and mouse there will be some circular portions, like two circular type portions, holes for connecting this mouse and keyboard. Next one is universal serial bus or USB port. All of you are familiar with this USB port. It is quite rectangular type slot where we can plug in our this pen drive, external hard disk, keyboard, mouse, etc. It was introduced in 1997. Most of the computers provide two USB ports as minimum. Most of the computers are having two USB ports, and the data travel rate is 12 megabits per second. Next, VGA port. It connects monitor to a computer's video card. It has 15 holes. It is similar to the serial port connector. However, serial port connector has pins. VGA port has holes. So the difference between serial port and VGA port is that VGA port is having holes and serial port connector is having pins. The next one is high definition multimedia interface, HDMI. And this interface is an audio video interface which transfers the uncompressed video and audio data from a video controller to a compatible computer monitor or LCD projector or digital television. Transferring this uncompressed video and audio data from a video controller to a monitor or to a projector, we need high definition multimedia interface. In short, we can call it as HDMI. Next one is modem port. Modem port connects a PC's modem to the telephone network. And you all know what is modem. There are wired modems and there are also Wi-Fi modems, and this wired modem is connected to telephone network, and for that we are using modem port. Next one is Ethernet port. Ethernet port provides connection to a network and high-speed internet. It connects the network cable to a computer, and the data travel rate ranges from 10 megabits to 1000 megabits per second depending upon the network bandwidth. The data transfer rate will depend on the network bandwidth. So we have provided here range from 10 megabits to 1000 megabits per second. Next one is digital video interface, DVI port. This port connects flat panel LCD monitor to the computer's high-end video graphic cards. It is very popular among video card manufacturers. The next one is SCSI port, that is small computer system interface port, which is responsible for connecting the hard disk drives and network connectors. So here figures of some ports are provided. These figures are provided just for showing you all that how the ports look like this serial port and this parallel port and this PS by 2 port, some Ethernet modem, what are the differences in their structure, and some are having circular structure, some are having rectangular structure, like that. So you students just get an idea how the ports look like. So the figures are just shown to describe this. So next topic is expansion cards. Expansion cards are also known as adapter cards. Actually, it is a circuit board that provides additional capabilities to the computers. So some of the commonly used adapter cards are here. We are going to discuss about them. First one is sound card, which is also known as audio card, which deals with sounds and audio signals within the computer that are under the control of programs on the computer. Suppose we want to play music, or we want to edit some videos or audio or some presentation software, like that. So that can only be done with the help of this sound card. So sound card is responsible for the audio signals within the computer. Next, video card. Video card is more often called a graphics card or display card, which is responsible for generating images to a visual display, such as a computer monitor or laptop screen. Suppose we want to generate some images on computer monitor or laptop screen. It can be only possible if we are having this graphics card in our computer. So all type of such task can be done only with the help of video card, or we can say graphics card. Next one is Network Interface Card, NIC. This is an expansion card which allows a computer to connect to a computer network, such as a local area network or wide area network. If we want to connect our computer to some other computer network like local area network or WAN, we should have NIC in our computer system. Through NIC only we can connect our computer to a computer network. Next one, modem card. A modem card allows a computer to send an analog carrier signal carrying digital information and decodes the reverse of this signal in return to reproduce the original digital data. Actually, from the name of modem itself, it is signifying modulation and demodulation. That means the sender side analog to digital conversion, and the receiver side digital to analog conversion, and this is only possible with the help of modem card. PC card. A PC card is a removable device which is designed to plug into Personal Computer Memory Card International Association PCM-CIA slot. This standard supports input-output devices, memory, modem, etc. Next, USB card. USB is short form for Universal Serial Bus. This card is used to provide additional connection ports to a computer by connecting the card to the motherboard. And it is the most common type of port found in modern computers. We can connect peripherals such as printers, keyboards, flash drives, and mouse through this USB card. This slide includes figures of some expansion cards. The first one demonstrates sound card, second one is video card, next network interface card, USB card, and modem card, and many more cards are there. Some of the important cards are shown below, and these cards can be attached to the slots given in the motherboard, and the figure of the motherboard I have shown earlier. Next, ribbon cables. These are thin, flat, multi-conductor cable that is widely used for internal peripheral connections in electronic systems. We can see some thin, flat cables inside the cabinet of the computer system for connecting peripheral devices. In a PC, a 34-wire ribbon cable connects the floppy drive. If floppy drive is there, then 34-wire ribbon cable is used for connecting it to the motherboard. Then a 40-wire cable connects the IDE/ATA CD drive, and an 80-wire cable is used for the IDE/ATA hard disk. So this is the figure of one type of ribbon cable. It is 34-pin cable used for floppy disk drives. So inside the cabinet of the computer system, we can see such thin flat cables for connecting floppy disk, CD or hard disk to the motherboard. Next is ASCII. ASCII means American Standard Code for Information Interchange. It is a code for representing 128 English characters as numbers, with each letter assigned a number from 0 to 127. So according to the ASCII code, every alphabet is having some number associated with it. So for example, the ASCII code for uppercase M is 77. Most computers use ASCII codes to represent text, which makes it possible to transfer data from one computer to another. So most computers are using this ASCII code for representing text, and which makes it possible to transfer data from one computer to another computer. All alphabets may be considered as number, and the ASCII code for this uppercase M is 77. Likewise, another alphabet is also having some numbers associated with it.